same time. Now that thump of 100 boxes is going to be heard at the end of the battlefield, and of course that's going to put the fear of God in whoever's at the other end. Prime. Order to prime. Some of your powder goes into the priming pan to create that ignition that you need. Shut pan. Now that'll compress the powder and hold it in place because now your musket's upside down. Load. On the order to load, the paper with the cartridge has the powder inside. There would be a ball in there. People always ask where'd the ball go when we fire. We don't put a ball in here, obviously, in the national parks, because if you wound a tourist, it kills your resume off. Draw, ramrod. Ram down. Return ramrod. Yes, you had to remind guys to return the ramrod. During the heat of the battle and your emotions are going, you're going to leave the ramrod in, pull the trigger and send it down there. You might stick somebody with it, but after that, you're stuck with a 10-pound club. Make ready! On the make ready, all the muskets are tossed high in the air. Now you're ready to do the last two steps of the drill, which are aim and fire. If it works, there's going to be a spark, a lot of smoke, and a pretty loud boom. So if you're sensitive to loud noises, it's okay to cover your ears. But we never know it's going to work till you do, so we'll find out together. Take aim. Fire. Half cock. The safety position is the half cock, and you pull it back halfway. Now I can pull that trigger all day, it will never go off half cock. So we fired down at them, they fired back at us. You saw the smoke from only 2 muskets. Think of 100 of those going off at the same time. 2 loud bangs, but 100 of those going at the same time. Now you've got a lot of noise going on. You've got muskets firing. You got men shouting orders, men screaming in agony, horses coming up. Now you're moving in artillery. You got bugles playing in the background, probably fife and drum moving in. The men shouting orders, golf carts going by, hitting their horns. You've got all kinds of noise. And you can't hear all, and a jet express backing up. You have all the noise going on and you cannot hear each one of those steps of the drill. And so you're going to condense all that to one command. Prime and load! And as quickly as possible, you go back through the prime and load. Get that wall of lead going down toward the enemy. As I said, for those who first came out, the British could fire their muskets about 3 to 4 times a minute. Our infantry, not so well trained, we hear records of 2 to 3 shots a minute, but our militia was so bad they fired 1 shot, dropped the muskets, and they ran back to their farms, which is why we didn't win many land engagements in the War of 1812. Now, once we've got all the muskets up together, those who are still standing after the first firing, we're ready to put those last 2 steps of the drill together. And again, if it works, it'll be just as loud. Take aim. Fire. Misfire. Okay, now this happened quite often on the battlefield. As I said, about 1 shot in 5, you're going to have a misfire. So I would have to stand there, holding that musket out for about 10 seconds in case there's a slow burn, which we would call a hang fire. Before you start working on the musket, making sure that it's clean. I had absolutely no spark, so I know exactly what went wrong. I've got humidity on my steel. I have humidity on my flint. It will not cause a spark. So I have to wipe it down, stand there on the battle line while I'm doing this. Can you imagine standing there while people are firing back at you trying to do that? You know what the enemy is doing? Aiming at the guy with the bad musket. Take aim. Clearing, misfire. Fire. Half cock. Shoulder. Arms. Shut. Pan. Order. Arms. That's your steps of the drill. If you didn't drive the enemy off after a few shots like that, remember you're carrying 30 rounds to start, so at 3 shots a minute you can see how short your battle would be. But you need to take the field, always. And so you would, of course, leave 1 last round that you would put into the musket, and you still have another weapon hanging at your hip. You get this command. Shoulder, arms. Fix bayonets. And you reach down, you pull out the bayonet, you flash it in the sun. Let the enemy know what's coming. That 5-foot-long musket is now a 6-foot-long spear. You've got your musket fully loaded. You've got your bayonet ready. And now you're ready to start what's known as the bayonet charge. Now, I know you've all seen bayonet charges in the movies. Ignore it, it's wrong, it's Hollywood. You don't go running and screaming across the field in a bayonet charge. That's Hollywood. Plays well for the movies, but not this way. This was the actual bayonet charge. Charge! Bayonets! Huzzah! And they would slowly walk across the field, coming at the enemy like that. That is the actual bayonet charge. You have to show your discipline, coming in side by side, a whole rank of men, moving in until you're about 10 yards away. And then you fire into the ranks, rush through that line, shove that into a victim, give it a twist and pull it out. Stick people, twist it and pull it back out. This is a three-sided bayonet. That will create a triangular wound in the body that will not naturally heal. Historians have said that goes into a body, winds around. It's like a fork winding spaghetti. Everything on the inside pulls through the hole and lays on the ground beside them. And we tell that here on purpose, and it's not to disgust you. It's not to make you toss your Frosties pizza. It's to illustrate a point. The War of 1812 was as any other war. It was bloody, it was brutal, disgusting fighting. But they all fought for what they believed in on both sides. That's why that monument's here today. The monument is dedicated to the men who fought in the Battle of Lake Erie, yes. But remember the second half of our name. We're also the International Peace Memorial. And we're dedicated to the men who had the courage to negotiate a peace treaty that has lasted over 200 years. Out here 5 miles beyond North Bass Island, folks, is the longest undefended border in the world. Between us and Canada, nearly 5,000 miles. No gunboats, no barbed wire, no landmines, no missiles. There's no armies out here poised to invade each other. And in case you haven't checked your papers recently, that's very rare in the world. We're very proud of that fact. We're still friends with Canada and Great Britain 200 years later. That's why we fly all three flags at the same level out here. Because back there in the midst of this war, we sat down at the Treaty of Ghent with our enemies, and we decided at that point we were done with it. And on Christmas Eve of 1814, we gave ourselves the best Christmas present ever. We signed that peace treaty, still in effect 200 years later. And then we signed the Rush-Bagot Agreement afterwards, which disarmed the Great Lakes, and we're still under that influence today. Folks, it's great to be able to have friends up there like that, and we keep this peace monument in favor of that and because of those three flags up there. So enjoy the islands, enjoy the islands, enjoy what you've seen. Remember, it came at a price. When we sat down and said, from now on, we got a problem, we're going to talk it out before we fight it out. Thank you very much, folks. Pleasure.
Thank you.